Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
Okay, deep breath. So a new article dropped in The Guardian that men are among society's loneliest people. What does that say about the patriarchy? They're blaming the patriarchy and toxic middle-aged men for basically doing it to themselves.
We're not dating her. I mean,
They don't want them. These
No.
women, these liberal women don't want these middle-aged men. Right?
Well, the middle-aged men don't want the liberal women.
All right.
Either,
so it's like a
it's,
whole thing going on here, and we're going to talk about this because this is one of the dumbest things I think I've seen. Men are lonely.
Wait, real quick. It depends on who you ask too, because other articles we're not going to look right this second, but we'll talk about it in a minute, are saying the opposite.
Yeah.
So, and I've heard people that were on the far left that were women said they were much happier after they left. I'm just saying.
Yeah, how's it working out for you? So let's talk about this. Before you get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
It's coming from The Guardian, so take it for what it's worth. Middle-aged men are among society's loneliest people. What does that say about the patriarchy, the internet, toxic male influencers, and ruthless marketeers, not biology, have helped create a cohort of men with very few friends?
Actually, they're saying there is a decline in male friend groups, but that they aren't statistically more lonely than women. It depends. Like I said, it's like cherry picking your data. It depends who you ask.
Yeah, this is basically what they're doing is they're gonna talk about the loneliness epidemic, which there is, because I think a lot of us,
across the board.
It's across the board. People are more connected than they've ever been. They're also lonelier than they've ever been because we don't do stuff in person anymore, and we had the pandemic, so for years people were locked down. They were not allowed to go out and socialize. I think some people were broken completely and they still don't know how to socialize.
Nah, it's because they have a penis.
But they're blaming the internet and toxic masculinity and male influencers for this shit. Oh my God.
Of course they are.
So this woman here, she said, I'm unsure how this particular column got the job of public advocacy for male problems, but relax, guys. I'm up for it.
Well, thank God you're here, lady.
Thank God. So this week, the male friendship recession is our subject. Data from the Survey Center on American Life revealed 15% of men said they didn't have close friends in 2021, compared with only 3% in 1990, while those reporting 10 or more close friends had decreased from 33% to 13%.
Yeah, and I think you'll find that's probably the same with women. But they said that men's circles have decreased mostly since the pandemic.
Yes.
So, but that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean the women haven't been impacted too. She's deliberately cherry picking.
Creating better infrastructure for heterosexual male socialization is okay. I want to stop right there because you're not allowed to be friends with another guy without somebody shipping you.
That's true.
I just saying it's
people
very
like that
weird.
Was right on this blog.
Yes, people on this, they're like, well, these two men are friends. There's probably something more to it though. They can't just be friends.
They hug. You know what that means, right?
They hug. They like to cuddle. Straight men like to cuddle. I'm like, no, straight men just like to watch football or boxing or something together.
But they can still hug their friends.
Yeah. I mean, oh God, this is crazy. Okay. You can trust studies that repeatedly demonstrate that those who experience social deficits, including isolation, loneliness, and poor quality relationships, are more likely to die earlier. Okay.
That's for men and women.
Yeah. All right. So they're talking, they're case building, right? They're like, oh yeah, people are lonely, blah, blah, blah. Patriarchy, spoiler, is bad for men too. Claims that men struggle to form friendships because of traditions of stoic masculinity's model of consistently performed toughness and invulnerability do not square with older generations of men having more friends and being more socially integrated. When performances of toughness in previous eras include resolving conflicts through violence and conscription, actual war, claims that this is such,
wait,
what are you trying to say, woman?
Whoa, wait a minute. You can't have friends because if you show toughness, including conflicts through violence. You mean like when people on the far left keep having these quote unquote peaceful protests when they're rioting and beating people the shit out of them in the street? You mean like that kind of thing? Because you're like acting like it was a time in the past that isn't happening now. It is. It's just the side you likely align with is the side that's out there causing violence.
Yeah. they're saying, well, it's work obligations. That's why they can't socialize. That doesn't hold up to scrutiny. It's tempting to blame technology. Here's where her whole argument falls apart. It's tempting to blame technology, but how do we explain the fact that women, girls, and gay men have the same technology, but they don't seem to suffer from the same misery?
True.
That's not true. We're going to talk about that.
We give proof of that.
So we might consider an intersecting number of cultural changes are meeting new variations of old gender roles in a particularly destructive way with fewer social points of connection to bulwark men against them. If there's ever an explanation for Skibidi Toilet, the Skibidi Toilet theory of young male social detachment, in which lady, you're not that smart. In which hyper chaotic media serves as both entertainment and an ambient worldview for young men raised online, we can reasonably assume because of Skibidi Toilet, men can't have friends. They said that the generation is fluent in irony but starved for meaning.
Wait. We have to get Andrew Tate in there, which I knew she was.
Oh my
for
God,
men,
here it goes.
Whether it's selling gaming console supplements or Andrew Tate hate material, you can't even. Then they go at the bottom. The children of the satanic panic generation are the lonely middle-aged men of today. And their isolation, that's a real stranger danger. It was who we let into the house.
It has nothing.
She's from Australia. This makes sense.
Oh my God, Australia! I saw a video today that Australia is apparently they're thinking about, but they're going to charge higher taxes on people that have an extra bedroom because space is such a commodity. I'm like, what kind of fucking weird? As I understand Australia, and I don't understand Australia very well for so many reasons, but as I understand it, like all the cities are on the coast, right? And then there's all this big empty middle, I guess kind of like America. Well, just move into the big empty middle and build a big ass house. Like, that's all you got to do.
I know. It's the same. I'm sorry. It says, here, we're about the satanic panic, the pre-internet satanic
capitalist
panic.
labor exploitation.
Wait, disinformation event from the 80s fosters stranger danger anxiety. That wasn't what caused stranger danger, you dumbass. It was because the kids were getting kidnapped with vans.
Yes.
And you had, Adam Walsh and all that stuff.
Walsh, kidnapped from Sears.
That's what caused the stranger danger, idiot. Satanic panic had nothing to do with it.
Satanic panic was about heavy metal and Dungeons and Dragons because it looked to Bible thumping, like really hardline right wing Christians.
And from her picture, she obviously was there or was older at the time.
Oh, she was definitely there. You were definitely alive.
So you should know better than this. And then they're like, well, because that we became for fearful strangers. We didn't hang out. Bullshit. No. People still hung out. It wasn't until the last, I'd say, 15 years or so that they stopped hanging out all the time and stuff. Okay. And things changed. Computer era, social media changed it. It had nothing to do with the satanic panic and stranger danger. What a dumbass. I'm sorry. She's one of these types that thinks she's smarter than she actually is. So here's what actually happened. As far as I can tell, we stopped interacting in the real world. The dynamics between men and women are very different now than they were in my day. Not really. Because it's pretty much the same thing. It's just they're letting people like this woman get in the middle.
Okay, so not in that way.
No one's making an Oreo cookie out of her. Anyway,
yuck. No, I'm good. No. What I'm saying is, for young men today, I'm not talking middle-aged men. For young men, it is harder for them, I think, to just do normal young men, ask girls out on dates or whatever, because everything is so fucking weird. And I think this is why we're seeing the return of the whole trad wife thing is like, it was a lot easier when it was expected. The guy asked the girl out, the guy paid for the date. I'm not saying that, the guy was owed anything because of, paying for said date. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying, like, the gender norms have been turned upside down, and it's not the patriarchy. I would say feminism has actually contributed to the loneliness
I
of
wouldn't
men.
even say feminism. I say, because feminism was around for a long time. It's the intersectional feminism.
Intersectional, yes, third wave intersectional.
That you're going to be accused of something, and if you didn't do it, and then you have all these women, which you talked about at length, that this guy has to make this much money to keep me. Well, I don't have to contribute
be this tall
anything
to get on the ride.
Yes, and things like that. And unfortunately, that ride has been ridden so many times. Why would you want to get on it?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think that has more to do with it. If there is a change societally, it's that more so than anything else. And they're like, because guys don't have as many close friends. It's like when neither do women, and it's
Guy-
loneliness is a pandemic, an epidemic, I guess, across the board, not just in men.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that. Actually, there were studies saying that liberal women
Yeah, which is what I've heard.
are the least happy and loneliest in America. I would say that liberal woman is projecting her loneliness and misery onto men and blaming men for her being miserable. And there are lonely middle-aged men. There are men who unfortunately got raked across skulls by their, spouses in a divorce or whatever. There are men who got blamed for shit, got fired from jobs. And it has been more prevalent now than it has been in previous decades.
It's across the board. I know, like they one article, I think the Vox, when they mentioned the colleges is a prime example of kids are really lonely because of the colleges, and we've talked about that at length on here. That our son was in college and he tried to engage with people, and they would just go to the room and shut their door and go on social media, and they would not talk to each other. But they're saying no one's immune. It's across the board. It is not men. Men aren't predominantly more lonely than women. It's
they want them to be. I think she's projecting.
Yeah.
I think she wants middle-aged chuds who won't date her, right? She wants them to be lonely and miserable like she is. That's my is that mean? Is that very mean? I don't care if it is. I don't care if it's mean.
But they're saying classic stereotypes of loneliness, like unmarried women or elderly people, fail to capture the myriad experience contributing to their loneliness. Life circumstances have a greater impact on loneliness than other demographic categories. Studies have found that levels of self-reported loneliness peak in early adulthood, college, fall in midlife, you're reckoning with your aging, and they rise again late in life when your spouse dies and you're lonely by yourself.
Friends are gone, spouse.
Yeah, a 2024 American Psychiatric Association, not whatever she got her stuff from, survey found that I can't read. Is that 30?
18 to 30, it found that 30% of
yeah.
Americans 18 to 34 said they were lonely at least several times per week.
Right. And then they said the University of Michigan in 2023 did a national poll on healthy aging, found that is it 37%?
Yeah.
Of U.S. adults aged 50 to 80 reported a lack of companionship over the last year. So you see it more in younger and in older people. But it's across the board. It is not just men because your patriarchy.
The patriarchy.
That's the stupidest
That's the dumbest damn thing. She's basically saying because of Andrew Tate and Skibidi Toilet, the young men can't have friends.
That is her argument. That is her argument. Yes.
Andrew Tate and Skibidi Toilet is making these guys are going to grow up to be dysfunctional middle-aged men because of Andrew Tate.
Friends because of Andrew Tate and Skibidi Toilet.
Skibidi Toilet. But weirdly enough, this was earlier in this year. Liberal women are the least happy and loneliest in America. Liberal women today are the unhappiest women in recorded history.
I wonder why.
Despite
so approachable.
Despite more equality, opportunity, and rights than they ever had before, conservative religious women are statistically the happiest in America by every metric, including sexual fulfillment. Why? Why is that?
I can tell you why. I've been reading this article. Because these people are trained to just be on the internet perpetually and be perpetually angry and triggered. They're out there constantly fighting. They're unhappy all the time because they're so used to being miserable about everything and trying to change things in air quotes. And if they get one thing changed, they just latch onto something else. So their whole existence is just about being unhappy.
Well, okay, so now this forms the bigger picture. Is the reason that we have so much misery inflicted on all of America by liberal women because they're absolutely miserable and they need to get laid?
I don't know. All I know is that the ones that you see that are the most miserable people are the people that are usually politically pickled.
Yes.
And that they're usually on a mission to change something and they're constantly triggered. How can you find joy when that's all you do? People are going to be like, well, you guys always complain about Hollywood stuff. Yeah, on these videos. But you don't see us. We're not perpetually triggered all the time. We talk about news and cover it and discuss it. But ourselves, we do find things to find joy in. And we aren't perpetually, constantly going around looking for things to be mad about.
40% of liberal women reported being single, while 31% were married. Among conservative women, 33% reported being single, while 51% were married. Conservative women, again, took the lead for religious attendance, with over half reporting attending church. I think it's finding purpose in life. I think
it's purpose in finding people that you're a church,
connect
you're with a group, you're connecting.
Yeah, you're with a group.
If
you're
you're
connecting
not,
with people.
whether it be church or something else, it could be other community organizations or groups or whatever. If you're part of something, you feel less lonely. That's going to be an obvious.
Well, the Institute for Family Studies, of course.
Yeah, so there you go there, too.
They said, liberal young women are less likely to be integrated into core American institutions, marriage and religion that lend meaning, direction, and a sense of solidarity to women's lives. I think, okay, so this is my theory of everything going on here. I think they're pissed because there is a definite trend in Gen Z and maybe even Gen Alpha that more and more of them are returning to conservative values. They're going to church more. There's a rise in that in Christianity.
They also want they just want the 80s to come back too. They want that connection. Like they're looking for it. And you have this generation that didn't have it.
Yes.
And so they're trying and somehow they're trying to pin everything on that generation, even though the examples they use are from a younger generation. Are people lonelier now? Are there kids that are lonely? Yes. Are there adults that are lonely? Yes. Are the reasons similar, just a little bit different because of generation? Yes.
Yeah, it's just this just sounds like cope to me. It's like, why am I lonely?
That whole article was just cope. I laughed so hard I literally pulled one of my abs. I did. I could when you said Skibidi Toilet and Andrew Tate. I don't know because it just dawned on me you're right, and I just laughed so hard that I pulled something.
So this is, I thought this is more of the article. No, this is just like 9 paragraphs begging for money. We need money because Trump's here, because Trump is here and the world is ending. Give us money because nobody.
Well, they just did that whole pitch for money. It was just about we have to stand up against the patriarchy and bullshit. So of course they're going to take this stance. But yes, in colleges, I can tell you for a fact that depending on where you go, and I've heard this from other people too, other parents who sent their kids to school, that it's not as easy to connect with people as it used to be. And I know Squid King would be like, I try to talk to people, and they just look at me like I have a third eye, and then basically put their phone up in their face and like shut up, put their earbuds in or whatever. And so in those cases, if you're lonely, you're doing it to yourself because you're deliberately not connecting. And while I think the pandemic did do a lot of stuff to cause problems, I even by their own data that she was given, it's been an ongoing issue for years leading up to it. So it's just, and I think it's more to do with the internet and social media than it has to do with the pandemic.
The comments are calling her out.
Good, because she's an idiot.
Interesting. This guy is 73. I have friends from my 20s at university. Yeah, I still have friends from high school. He said, I always felt blessed to be in my generation when the world was a bit more rational. They said, I find articles like this useless when you have Elon running X hate spewing from the U.S. Well, given the source, right? The world's on the brink of what? Basically, like, this is what you're concerned about. Like, all this shit's going on in the world, and you're worried about, like men having friends and toxic masculinity. This person said, is there an assumption here that men need friendships the same way as women?
That's a valid point, too.
That is 100% true. Men, like, we do have friends, we do have friendships, but I don't. Boy, how do you say this without sounding like a dick?
Say it.
I don't think men are, I'm going to be honest, in general. Not always. I mean, I've got a few really close friends, but they don't have the need, I think, most men to have a constant social circle, because for a lot of men, their social circle is work, their social circle is family, and whatever they're doing, church, whatever organizations or whatever that they're
You want to
into.
have friends, but it's not, I think
it's not how we judge
Girls
ourselves.
can't go to the bathroom unless they have a group kind of thing, a lot of times.
Yeah, a lot of people calling her out. They're even like, this is ridiculous. I have to say, participating in any Guardian BTL discussion about gender is becoming really hard and frustrating work.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it too. I think basically what it is she wanted a reason to shit on Andrew Tate and Skibidi Toilet. So she tried to tie it into an epidemic of male loneliness, and she wants to own the chuds. She wants to be like, because this is always a go-to, like, you're just a lonely middle-aged man.
Because you're toxic and you're a problem.
Because you're toxic and a problem. Maybe he went through multiple bad divorces, and he doesn't want to be in a relationship right now.
Well, then we have that other article, we talked about those women that, you know, that they were making fun of the one guy for having mental health issues.
Yeah.
And having anxiety. And I'm like, but you demand more from, you honestly demand more from men than you do women a lot of times in society. I mean, so of course, if women can have anxiety issues, why can't men? I think that's absolute dog shit to make fun of them for it. So it's just funny to me. You get this woman whose whole thing, her whole shtick is to shit on men and ask her to do something to help men make friends. And of course, she's just going to shit on them more and then wipe her ass with them.
That was the purpose of the article. It wasn't to actually help men. It was to point out, like, oh, look, losers, you're a bunch of losers. Losers,
if you
losers.
were like me and you had a vagina, you'd have lots of friends.
And a cat.
Yeah. Yeah,
9 cats.
Crazy cat lady, you know.
Crazy cat lady.
For a reason.
There we go, guys. So, yeah. Is there a problem? Yeah, there's a problem across the board. We need to learn how to reconnect with people. I actually do have hope for Gen Z and Gen Alpha on some level. I know we make fun of them, but it does seem like they're looking for that reconnection. And, you know, that's a good thing, right? I think it's a good thing. We're going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.